I've never been much of a reader. I've just never really enjoyed it as a medium for entertainment. I would much rather listen to music or watch a movie. However, there were a couple series of books growing up that really captured my attention, and one of those series was the Chronicles of Narnia. It was something where I started and I just couldn't put the book down. And there were very few other books that ever could really do that for me. Now, well, I'm never going to get the chance to go back and experience The Magician's Nephew for the very first time. The real reason behind why I'm doing this project is because I want to have a very special set of books so that when my kids grow up and want to read these books that I enjoyed as a kid, not only do I already have them for them to be able to read, but they also have this sort of rustic feel to them that can maybe really help draw them into the magical environment that is Chronicles of Narnia. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I am very excited about this. One of my favorite books, very special to me. One of the first series that I really got in. We're gonna give it our best shot to give it a leather cover and go from there. What we've got the book, obviously. We've got a whole sheet of goat skin that is specifically made for leather covering books. We decided to go with like a dark brown. We also got our adhesive, which is important, and then I'm not sure if they're the right size, but we've got some of these gold corners that we could put on as well. For the actual leather binding, what we're gonna be putting in between the book cover and the leather is some of this project board that I picked up from Lowe's. Basically, it's just a little 3-foot by 2-foot sheet of just a really thin MDF. And so we're gonna be using that, cutting out a sheet that's the exact size of both the front and back cover. And then we're going to be gluing the wood to the book and then also the leather to the plan is basically to cut the leather out a little bit bigger than the size of the actual book, cut the wood out the exact size of the book, and then glue it all together and then clamp it together with some wood on top and bottom. Based on the few videos I've seen, that should make a really nice adhesive and it should work well. Now, I mentioned right there that I had watched a couple videos on how to make a leather bound book, and that is true. I saw several different ways of how to do it, and I feel like I probably ignored the most important parts of all of those videos because wow, I really messed up pretty big several times on this project. The first thing that I would do differently going forward is, as you can see here, I am marking out the exact size of this book, and that's something I said I wanted to do. I really wanted the leather cover to be about the same size as the book. I think going forward I would probably go about 1/8 of an inch bigger than the book itself. However, to make this set match, from here on out I'm going to make the rest of these. So after stripping all of the wood down, I took a little bit of sandpaper and we went around all the edges, kind of rounded them off a little bit so that way nothing was going to be hard. We weren't going to have any edges that were going to cut or rub against the leather hard. And then we went ahead and did a little dry fit. We put the boards on top and bottom to make sure they were both the right size. After confirming they were the right size, we went ahead and put some glue on both sides of the boards. Now those two steps right there were probably the biggest two mistakes that I made. Number one, I put way too much glue. And number two, by putting the weight on top of it, all of the excess glue squeezed out and ran down the edges of the book. Ideally, what I should have done is glued the wood to the leather first, allowed that to dry, and then came back and tried to glue the wood to the book itself and actually attach the cover. Because I did it this way, the glue ran down the sides of the book and I actually ended up gluing the book pages to themselves. So after painstakingly going through and cutting out all of the individual pages, we marked our leather, cut that, and then glued the leather to the wood that we had already attached to the book. Now I made sure to use a lot less glue this time, and I also didn't put the glue all the way to the edges. So that way I would still have some room to come back and glue so that we could round over to the inside of the book, as well as it wouldn't leak out over the edges and glue the pages back together again. So after getting all of that done, I put a piece of wood on top of the book and then once again set our weight on top. Finally, after that glue had dried, we took it out again and we went through kind of by hand using my finger, and we glued all of the edges of this leather over onto the inside of the book cover. Again, hindsight's 2020. For any future ones of these I'm going to be doing, I would leave a lot more than just 1/4 of an inch of leather around the edge of the book. Something closer to 1/2 inch would be a lot better and make it a lot easier to fully round over to the inside of the book, so that way it's However, I was able to get it good enough here where from the outside of the book you can't tell any difference between any of the edges at all, but from the inside it does look a little bit funny.
Dude, I thought I loved myself so much more than this. You know what, that's gonna look really nice though. Once I get those corners cut clean, it's gonna look really good. We're just gonna do these one side at a time for now. Give that a chance to really dry.
I went back through with a pair of scissors and then finally finished up with a razor blade to make sure everything was cut perfectly, nice and crisp and straight, and everything looked correct. Here's a couple pictures of the final project. Alright, so if you're going to try to do this yourself, remember 2 things. Number 1, create the actual back, the backing, the leather back first. Do not create it and build it into the book, because inevitably some glue will squeeze out and you will either end up ruining your book or having a ton of work to try to separate all of the pages like I did. Number 2, it's okay to cut your leather bigger than what you absolutely need. It was a really big struggle for me because the leather that I had was exactly the right size and I had absolutely no room for error. I had to make it the exact size it was. And third, finally, if you are looking for something to turn a paperback book into a hardback, kind of like I did, if you search on Lowe's or Home Depot for project panel, they're usually in the cabinetry section. They're made for putting back panels on cabinets, but they are perfect because they're incredibly skinny and are very easy to work with and work perfectly for hardcover leatherback books. I'm hoping to make a lot more videos like this. I really enjoy doing crafty things with my hands, so if you're interested or if you have any suggestions or thoughts or ideas, things I could do better, this is a whole new genre for me for making YouTube videos, please, I accept any comments down in the comment section below. I would absolutely appreciate that if you left me any sort of feedback, positive or negative. I have a couple more very exciting videos planned, so please stay tuned for that. Subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.